Ladies and gentlemen, back again, Wayne Gladstone.
Thank you all for coming. I'm Wayne Gladstone from Crack.com. We are very lucky to have with us here today a man who's the star of 2 long-running shows, cultural icon, and the only man who can take Bigfoot in a fight. Please help me welcome Lee Major. Thank you for coming. I'm sure the people in the audience have a lot of questions for you, but first I'm going to ask a few of my own.
No, you're not supposed to.
Oh.
How are you?
Okay, sir. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
All right, let's get to it. Let's talk first about the $6 Million Man. Certainly a show that had a lot of fantastic elements, but I understood that it was always very important to you that the show not get too campy and that it be based in some bit of reality. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, funny you should bring that up because, excuse me, the only reason I'm here is Batman had an accident and hurt his back, and so they called the Bionic Man to come in and help him out a little bit. Yeah. And no offense to Adam, who's a friend, but back when they approached me with this idea of this Bionic Man series, I read the script, and the character runs 60 miles an hour, he can jump tall buildings and all this stuff, and you know, to me it sounded a little like Batman show back then that was on, and I always thought that was a little campy, if you know what I mean, with the pow, bang, you know, it was kind of funny, and I was kind of looking to do something a little bit more serious, and because I worked for Adam, and it was a good show, but they took our advice, and we, of course, we made it as serious as we could and made it a drama, which, when we did decide to do it, the main thing was to make him human as much as possible and cut down on the bionics. Let's not just do the bionics just to do them because they look cool, but use them under certain circumstances that are necessary. So, anyway, I'm sorry to get off here.
No, that's fine. Right, Steve Austin was always kind of he wasn't running to be a hero, right? He just wanted to live his life and wanted to be a test pilot.
He was an anti-hero. He didn't really want to be where he was, but he was a test pilot, and fortunately I got to meet the gentleman who was actually in that plane that you see at the beginning of the credits that crashes, and that was a wonderful guy. And he walked away from that with hardly any injuries, but he did lose an eye, and I don't know if that's how they decided to do the bionic eye, but he did lose an eye in that accident. So
one arm, 2 legs.
both legs.
Right. Sometimes people get that wrong and say 1 leg. Like, no, then you just be hauling half his
Well, they
body.
also get us confused because Lindsay, the bionic woman, had the ear,
And you have the eye.
and then of course I think there was a dog. And,
Now I heard about the dog. I heard that this is, by the way, is one mic on?
well, let me tell you about what was the name of that dog. Anybody know?
They wanted it for your show, right?
Well, they came to me and said, "Oh, we've got this great idea. We want to have a bionic dog." And I'm not on my show here now. You can take that over. Walk that dog over to Lindsay's show. Because they tried everything. We had the bionic boy. We had then we tried to do another bionic girl. And this is way after the show was over. This show wouldn't die. We did 3 movies, TV movies, before the series had started. We did a whole bunch of episodes, 100 and something, and then we did 3 more movies afterwards. But they weren't even close together. We did one in '89 and then '94 or something like that. I think the one in '89 it was in Toronto, and they were trying to make another bionic woman. And the young actress who played that, I remember she made about $2,500 for the whole 2-hour movie, and that was Sandra Bullock. Of who went on to do other things. And never repaid me for, letting her do that. I haven't gotten in any of her movies.
But I'm sure you get this question a lot, and everyone talks about sound effects when it comes to $6 Million Man. But what I want to know is, was there like a meeting to discuss how to handle the special effects, or did the first time you see those sound effects, were you just watching it and all of a sudden you're in slow motion with the spring going, yeah?
No, there was a lot of discussion on that, especially at the running, because the first time that we started to do the running, we did it, they did it in fast motion. And if you've ever seen any of the old Keystone Cop movies where they're going around like that, it looked so ridiculous. It was not to be put on the air. So finally they learned to change the speed of the camera and did it in slow motion. And they found that it gave it, it looked a little more powerful, even though I was really running my butt off. And for a long way. I remember many times, like this length of this room, the camera would be here and I would be at the end of the wall down there, and they would say, okay, action, and I'd be running. And I'd pass the camera and they'd say, okay, I gotta do it again. Well, the focus fellow, he puts big rocks about every 10 yards down through there, and as I pass those rocks, he just turns that wheel, and keeps me in focus. So about 7 times up on a runway in Northern California, Edwards Air Force Base, at about 120. After about 6 or 7 of those, I said, if you don't get the next one, you're not ever going to get it. So we finally got it.
Were you wearing the red tracksuit at the time?
Yes.
Do you ever feel guilty that as the
only
only
man?
man?
The sounds were put in later, and at the time they sounded pretty cool because it was the first show that had that kind of sound. Now it feels pretty silly when I go into a restaurant and the waiter's going. By this time, you want me to get up and run? That's your phone? They have it on their phone rings.
You're like the only man who's ever looked good in a red tracksuit, like in the history of mankind. Do you feel bad or guilty sometimes that you inspire the
You see this new show, Cheers? I know, what is that show? That Jane Lynch, where's the track?
Oh,
Glee. Now Glee,
Well, still the only man.
Jane Lynch in the show, she wears a red tracksuit.
That's true.
I think she got that from me. She's trying to be tough.
I'm gonna open up the floor to questions in a second. But before, if you're gonna have to, I've never asked anyone for an autograph. I've never bugged any celebrity I've met in person. But I have to ask a cheesy thing of you. My favorite episode of $6 Million Man would be the one where your character Steve Austin battles Major Sloan, punches him in the face, and finds out he's a robot. His face flies off. The good people at Kenner in 1977 made Maskatron, inspired by that. This is the oldest toy I have. I've had it my whole life. this fell off in 1977 too, and that shows you
From a different company.
as a 4-year-old, I didn't even lose the pieces. So to recreate a $6 Million Man moment, if you could pop off Maskatron's head, I would love you forever.
Well, the only reason I would do that is because they sold this and I didn't get a penny. Take that.
Cody is going to raise your hand, will come by. If someone
Ask me some easy ones, will you?
Yes, I think he had to do spirit stunts, especially the jumping, and if you didn't, how high did you jump?
Did you do most of your own stunts? How high can you jump?
Well, I've been in the business this is going into my 50th year. I started the big valley that you might remember as Western. And I was a cowboy and I did all my own riding and roping and some calf roping and all my stunt work in that show. Then I did the last year with Virginian, it was called Men from Shiloh. Then I got a break to do a lawyer series of when Marshall Counselor Law, so I learned want to tie and say some big words. And then I got the script on 6 mil. So it just took, the most fun of an actor is if you played any sports growing up. You know, I played college football also. And, so it was doing the stunt work. It made the day go faster. And not only that, they could keep a close camera on you while you're doing the stunts. But then you save more time, because if they put a stuntman in your place, you have to kind of redo. You know, they shoot the stuntman, but you got to get in there and redo the. Working? Here.
I'm sorry, this is some interference we're trying to get rid of.
No.
No, there's that interference that they want to get rid of so that people can hear you.
Hello?
Take one, please. I don't think the microphone's got anything to do with that interference.
Anyway, doing all your own stunts. Let's just get to the point. I did a lot of running, a lot of jumping, a lot of fighting and stuff. And this, how far can I jump today? If they yelled fire, I'd be the last person out of the building. No, it's you need to start to get it and back a little bit. But no, I'm probably going to have a little knee surgery here pretty soon. Maybe they can rebuild me now. We'll see for sure. I keep waiting for it to come out in pill form, but yes, sir. Sorry.
So, Lee, my name's Lee as well. Big girl with mine.
Hello.
Growing up. From going between the $6 Million Man and going to the Fall Guy, I know Fall Guy was a big one that I got to watch as a kid. But in terms of the differences between those shows, I know that, was there any talk between, say, because you worked with Kenny Johnson on $6 Million Man, and Kenny Johnson also did the Incredible Hulk TV series, was there ever any chance that the two of them would ever cross over? Did he ever want to try to do that?
Do what though? You mean?
Like the Hulk teams up with Steve Austin to fight something or whatever.
Oh,
Have a fight.
no, when I did the Fall Guy, the Incredible Hulk came over and threw me around a little bit as a guest star.
Oh yeah, in fact, yeah. Speaking of that, just a good segue. Certainly one of the most seminal episodes of there's some interference going on. Of $6 Million Man would be the one where you fought Bigfoot. You remember that? What I didn't know until recently was that was Andre the Giant, and I heard you tell some stories about. What
I just let Andre kick my butt again.
and he did it completely sober, or?
Andre the Giant was a very gentle man. He was a professional wrestler, and he was a wonderful cook, I understand. He had his restaurant in France. He lived in France, and of course he wrestled all around the world. And I just remember one terrific day that we had to do the stunt fight. The fight took all day to film and out in the woods. And it was a very, very hot day. And we would fight for a while, and they'd move the cameras, and we'd fight for some more, and they'd move the cameras. And then there was one point where he used to pick me up over his head and throw me, which he did, into the audience that far. And then he was supposed to come and take a flying leap and land on top of me. And I'm laying there, and the sun, all of a sudden the sun gets blocked out. And it's really black, and I just shut my eyes and think I'm going to get squished. And he didn't touch me. Those wrestlers are so good that what you see in the ring, they hardly even. I was amazed how gracious he was to me.
Cody, though, there's a gentleman up in the front row, I promised, so you can just...
I'm loud.
Mike's coming to you. And then back to the guy I just did that to, sorry.
I just wanted to know if there was any story behind how you ended up singing The Unknown Stuntman for the Fall Guy.
Yeah.
And can we hear some?
I don't even remember the lyrics, but
I have it on my phone.
we'll do a little karaoke. The way that show was presented to ABC was I ran into a friend of mine named Glenn Larson, who I'm sure he's probably one of one of the best producers that was out there. I mean, he had about 6 or 7 or 8 series on the air. He created them all, from Battlestar Galactica. I can't name them all, but he came to me and wanted to know if I'd be interested in doing this particular show, and he explained it to me, and I said, yeah, that sounds like fun. So he had a friend named David Somerville, who was a musician, and kind of, he and Glenn had kind of written the song, and so when we went to the meeting with ABC, the guy said, what's the show about? And David sang the song. He played his guitar and sang the song, and then we said, and he's a bounty hunter. And the head of ABC said, okay, let's shake hands and let's do the show. So naturally I had to tweak some of the lyrics, because his lyrics were a little older, and I had to bring it up to date. And then it was decided that he's singing about, the song is about the character, so it would be more personable if I did it. So anyway, that's what happened, and I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seeing the Pharaoh. Excuse me. This is my wife, going into 18 years now, and her name is Faith. So I have to change it now to Faith. I keep the faith. Anything else? What else?
I have a two-parter. Number one, in Big Valley, Peter Beck always wore gloves. Can you ever explain why?
I'll tell you something about Peter. God bless his heart. He just passed away this past year. He loved his role. I would be on the freeway going to work in the morning, and he had a little Jaguar convertible, and I'd be going down my old pickup truck, and I'd look over, and Peter'd be there, already in his outfit. He wore it to and from work. He liked it, and he was very proud of it. And he liked the big black gloves and the spurs. The spurs were huge, and they jangle, jangle, jangle. He used to make the sound man so mad because they couldn't get anybody's dialogue if he walks around on the room. They said, Peter, you're going to have to take those off or stand still. But Peter was a great guy, and of course we've lost him, and then we lost Richard Long at an early age, and Barbara Stanwyck, naturally. Linda Evans and I are left, and they've been planning to try to do a Big Valley movie. And when I went in to meet the director and the producers, they said, I said, well, I guess you want me to play my original part, Heath. They said, no, you want you to play the father of your original part, Heath. That would make me married to Barbara Stanwyck. That's old. I guess I was getting old to do it. So I said, all right, but it hasn't happened yet, but eventually.
Did you have a second follow-up question?
Actually, you never did answer why Peter Beck wore the gloves all the time.
Well, he never wanted to put makeup on his hands. Does that make sense? No, you have to put makeup on your hands because you're working outside with the cowboy. Now, if you don't have suntan, you put it up to your face and you got makeup on, it doesn't match. I'm making that up. I have no idea. But it actually made him feel tougher. You know, that black vest, black gloves, and black hat, and the black horse. That was amazing. And I can tell this now, he was maybe a little bit an inch or two taller than me, but he put his boots on with those heels and that stuff inside the boot. He was a foot taller than me.
Barbara Stanwyck was, of course, a huge movie star, and she did television. I mean, have any stories about her?
Any stories about Barbara Stanwyck, or maybe what it was for her like to do television after coming in that time from being such a
Well, you know, Barbara was. I was surprised. I didn't know, but she was 60 years old when we started shooting that, and she was very active for a lady of that age. She'd get climbing that buckboard and drive those horses, and she did all her own little kind of stunt fights a little bit. She just loved it, and she was a great disciplinarian for any young actor coming in. And I learned to hit my marks, know my lines, and keep my mouth shut.
We have We have time for just 2 more questions.
Sure.
I'm going to ask one, and then raise your hand for Cody. Mine's quick. Just whatever you want. I've heard that you were a practical joker on the set, and that sometimes you got in trouble with a certain producer for pranks you pulled. And in the time we have remaining, if you want to tell us about any of the ones that come to mind.
I don't remember doing anything like that.
Okay. Over.
Honestly, don't. I know, but we used to do a lot of practical jokes, especially on each other. But not one comes to mind at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I've lost the fog here for that.
All right. Yeah. Cody, we have another. All right.
Holy. Question for you. I've been a big fan, obviously, all my life, like the rest of the people here, but trying to get the $6 million man on video or DVD is like pulling teeth. I have my hands on season 1 and the pilot series,
Yes,
but
sir.
I cannot get my hands on anything else other than. Is there a reason for all of that?
Well, it just came out this past November.
There's a website, right, where I think the
Yeah,
box set is available.
it came out last November on the internet. There's a box set. In that box set, it's big, it's heavy. You open it up and it goes. The whole thing. No, and it says we can rebuild it. It's Richard Anderson's voice saying the whole thing, and there's like 100 and some episodes of it. And there's the 3 movies we did before, and the 3 movies we did afterwards.
Is that it right there? And I think you can get it right on the website is, I believe, www.6mdm.
Yeah,
For 6millionman.com. So there you go. Okay, I think there's one last question for.
Everybody take his away from him.
I think we have time for one last question to the gentleman up here who's been waiting, and I think
Yes,
we
sir.
need to call it a day.
That's all right, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm just wondering if there's gonna be any talk of a $6 million man movie?
That has been thrown around for years. It's gone from one company to another, and I think if you've heard of the Weinstein brothers,
Yeah, sure.
I think they have control of it at the moment, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, thank you all for coming, and big hand for me.
Thank you, gentlemen.